The night air over Seoul was a thin electric veil that wrapped itself around the neon-splashed streets of Gangnam. From the balcony of a sleek high-rise, Wyan watched the city pulse, the lights flickering like the heartbeat of a creature she was trained to hunt. Her phone buzzed, a single message from her handler.
Target secured. Infiltrate. Remember, no attachments.
The words felt like a cold draft against the skin of her neck. She pushed the railing with a gloved hand, smoothed the dark coat that clung to her like a second skin, and slipped into the night. The entrance to the Jiangsu family's downtown club, the Crimson Orchid, was guarded by two hulking men in tailored suits. Their eyes, half hidden behind mirrored sunglasses, scanned the queue of well-dressed patrons. Yen's heart thudded, a rhythm she'd learned to disguise under layers of calm. A security guard stepped forward, his voice smooth as silk.
Reservation under Jiun Han?
She smiled, a practiced curve.
Yes, I'm Ji-yoon. I'm with Mr. Jimin's girlfriend, Irene. We have a table booked for 10.
The guard's eyebrows rose, then softened.
Right this way.
Inside, the club throbbed with bass, the scent of perfume and expensive whiskey mingling in the air. At a table near the back, a man with an effortless charisma rose to greet them. He was lean, his dark hair brushed back, his eyes, deep amber, studied Wyan with a precision that made her skin prickle.
Welcome, Ji-yoon.
He said, his voice low, warm.
I'm Park Jimin. I hope you're comfortable.
Very.
Yn replied, slipping into the seat opposite him. She could feel his gaze, not just on her but on the subtle shift in her posture, the way her fingers rested lightly on the glass. There was something in his eyes that made her feel as though a story had already been written, and she was merely reading the last page. Irene, Jimin's longtime girlfriend, arrived later, draped in an elegant black dress that clung to her every curve. She laughed at something Jimin whispered, their flirtatious banter lighting the table like fireworks.
Jimin?
Yn heard herself think, he's exactly the kind of man I'm supposed to betray. Yet the truth was a tangled web. The real Jimin, the one that had been watching her every move, already knew this was her plan. And he was playing a deeper game. 2 weeks later, Yn found herself in the Jiangsu family's mansion, her role now a permanent fixture as Irene's personal assistant. The mansion was a fortress of marble and glass, the corridors echoing with the soft tap of heels and the occasional thunder being tested in a hidden armory. She sat in front of a polished mahogany desk, the soft click of a pen punctuating the silence as she copied inventory lists for the family's overseas accounts. Jimin entered, his coat hanging loosely from his shoulders, a faint smile curling his lips.
You're getting good at this,
he said, leaning against the desk.
You even remember the exact serial numbers? Impressive.
Yn looked up, her dark eyes narrowing just enough to hide the flare of curiosity.
It's just part of the job, isn't it?
He chuckled, a sound that seemed both genuine and calculated.
You know, my mother always told me that the best way to keep a secret is to let the other person think they've discovered it.
Her breath caught.
What do you mean?
He turned, his gaze sliding over the portrait of the late patriarch that hung on the wall, his eyes lingering on the scar that ran across his cheek, an old wound that whispered of betrayals long past.
Your boyfriend, Yeon-woo, he's the one who thinks he's protecting you. He's brilliant, but he's not the only one who knows how to read a play.
Yen's pulse spiked.
What are you saying?
Think about it.
Jimin whispered, his voice dropping to a confidential tone.
If you truly wanted to my family, why would you bother taking a job that puts you so close to my heart? A spy who never truly understands the man she's after? You're too passionate for that.
She felt the weight of his words settle like ash.
You know about the operation?
For a moment, his eyes seemed to flicker with something darker.
I know it because I hired the best people to protect it. You're not the first to walk through my doors thinking they can change the game.
She swallowed, the world spinning just a fraction slower.
Then why?
Why do you stay?
He interrupted, his voice softening.
Because somewhere down there, beneath the layers of loyalty and duty, there is a thread that ties you to me. A red thread.
In that instant, the world shifted. The room seemed to close in, the polished wood reflecting the glint of his smile.
You can either cut it now, or we can let it grow.
YN blinked, and the facade of her mission cracked, revealing the raw edge of something she hadn't anticipated. An unexpected attraction. The following night, YN sat alone on the balcony, the city lights spilling into her lap like distant fireflies. Her phone buzzed again, a message from Yun-woo.
We need to talk. Meet me at the old pier tomorrow.
The old pier was a relic of his childhood, a place where he used to watch the river flow into the Han, dreaming of escape. It was also where YN had first learned to swim, fighting, not floating. She stared at the sky, the stars indifferent to her turmoil. Somewhere in the sea of her thoughts, a voice whispered,
Don't trust him. Don't trust him.
Morning came with a gray drizzle, and the city seemed to mourn in muted tones. At the pier, Yun-woo stood under a rusted lamppost, his coat pulled tight against the chill. His eyes, normally bright with confidence, flickered with something softer.
Wyan,
He said, taking a step forward.
I thought you'd be here to us both.
A half smile brushed her lips.
I could have, but I chose to stay.
He sighed, shoulders sagging.
You've been playing a game, not just with them, but with yourself.
It's not about the game.
She said, the words heavy.
It's about the people who think they can see me.
Yun-woo's hand reached out, resting gently on her shoulder.
You're more than a pawn, YN, you're a queen.
She turned to face him, the rain dripping from his hair onto her cheek.
And you? Are you sure we're not just pieces in his chessboard?
He looked away for a heartbeat, then back, his jaw set.
I'm not him, I'm not Jimin.
Wine's breath hitched.
You think I don't know that? That I'm just a naive rookie?
Yun-woo's smile was bitter.
I know you saw his eyes the moment you walked into that club. He never stopped watching.
She laughed, a sound that sounded both hollow and hopeful.
Then maybe he sees the same in me.
A sudden clatter echoed from the darkness beyond the pier. Shadows moved. A trio of men, dressed in black, approached. Jimin's men, the family's enforcers. Their leader, a broad-shouldered, stepped forward and spoke in a low tone.
Looks like the moth finally meets the flame.
Wine's mind raced. In the split second before the men could close in, Jimin stepped out from the shadows, his silhouette cutting a clean line against the rain-slicked pier. He raised a hand, and the men froze, eyes flickering between him and YN.
My dear,
Jimin said, his voice almost tender.
I see you finally understand the pattern.
He turned to Yun-woo, his expression cold.
Your friend thinks she's playing a game. She's right. I'm the one who writes the rules.
Yun-woo's eyes hardened, his fingers clenching into fists.
You won't get away with this, Jimin.
Jimin chuckled, his breath forming a cloud in the cold night.
Oh, I think I already have.
He stepped forward, and YN felt an electric pulse surge through her. The distance between them seemed to collapse, the noise of the city shrinking to a low hum. He reached out, his fingers brushing the back of her neck, a silent promise, a warning all at once.
You think you can protect me?
YN whispered, her voice shaking.
Protect?
Jimin raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing on his lips.
You're the one protecting yourself against me. I told you to cut the thread, but perhaps we both want to see where it leads.
He leaned in, his breath warm against her ear.
The only way to end this is to cut it together.
At that moment, a rang out, a muffled crack from the far side of the pier. Missed Jimin, but struck the brute's hand, sending a spread across the wet wood. The men scattered, a scramble of chaos and clamor. Yun-woo seized the moment, diving toward YN.
Run!
He shouted, pushing her toward the darkness. She hesitated, eyes locked on Jimin. He held out his other hand, palm open.
Don't go.
he said, voice low.
You're not the only one who can tonight.
She felt the tug of destiny, of love and loyalty, of a promise made in whispers. The rain pelted her skin, cold as steel. In a heartbeat, she chose. She slipped past Yunwoo, moving toward Jimin, ignoring the shouts, the splintered glass of broken resolve. Their fingers intertwined, the world narrowing to a single heartbeat.
Let's finish this together.
Jimin whispered, his eyes that spoke of both and desire.
Together,
YN echoed, her voice steady for the first time in months.
but not as enemies.
He nodded, his grip tight.
We'll expose the family from the inside. We'll bring the darkness out into the light.
I'll tell Yunwoo.
She glanced over his shoulder and caught his gaze.
We'll both get a second chance.
The days that followed were a blur of covert meetings, encrypted messages, and careful orchestration. YN and Jimin worked as a team, feeding the agency false leads while funneling critical evidence to dismantle the Jiangsu syndicate from within. Inwoo, though initially skeptical, saw the glimmer of truth in YN's eyes. He became their reluctant liaison, feeding intel from the police precinct, his own affection for YN guiding his decisions. Irene, blissfully unaware of the storm behind the scenes, fell deeper into Jimin's charm, but she sensed a shift in him, a longing she could not quite grasp. One night, as the trio, YN, Jimin, and Yunwoo, met in a dingy back room of a noodle shop, Jimin laid out the final move.
The family's vault is hidden beneath the old warehouse by the Han River,
he said, tapping a map on the cracked table.
Our contact inside will provide the access codes. Once we have the ledger, we upload everything to the federal servers. The syndicate collapses and we're free.
Inwoo leaned back, his hands trembling slightly.
What about Irene?
Jimin's eyes softened for a moment, a flicker of something real passing through.
She'll be safe. The family's last thing they want is a public scandal that drags innocent lives. I'll make sure she's protected.
Wen's heart pounded.
And us?
Jimin smirked, his thumb brushing his index finger over.
We get a fresh start. No more shadows, no more lies, just us.
She felt a wave of relief, a soft tide washing away the... She glanced at Yunwoo, his expression a mixture of pride and concern.
You're doing the right thing.
She whispered. He nodded, a faint grin breaking his stoic facade.
You always were the mastermind, Jimin. I just helped you get there.
Jimin laughed quietly.
And you, my dear, were always the anchor. Without you, I'd have been lost in my own darkness.
The night stretched long, but the plan was set. The next dusk, under the cover of rain, they slipped into the warehouse, the smell of old timber and rust filling their lungs. The vault door loomed, iron ribs glinting under dim lights. Jimin entered a code, his fingers dancing across the keypad. The lock clicked, the door grinding open to reveal stacks of ledgers, each page a testament to 1,000 transactions, a world and betrayal. He turned to YN, his face illuminated by the glow of the records.
All the secrets finally out.
She approached, her hand hovering over the parchment.
We'll let the world see it.
Yes.
Jimin said, his voice barely above a whisper.
And then we'll disappear.
It was a promise made in the midst of shattered glass, of secrets revealed. They took photographs, downloaded files onto a secure drive, and slipped away into the night. The police arrived moments later, led by Yunwoo, his badge flashing as he arrested the surviving members of the syndicate. In the aftermath, the Jiangsu family fell, its empire crumbling like a sandcastle washed by an unforgiving tide. The public erupted across headlines, the world finally seeing the darkness that had haunted Seoul for decades. Months later, a quiet cafe on a tree-lined street became a haven for 3 people whose lives had been twisted together by fate, love, and... The rain outside painted the windows with shimmering patterns as YN sipped her latte, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. Jimin sat across from her, his hair slightly disheveled, his eyes softened by the ordinary glow of the cafe. He reached across the table, his hand finding hers, fingers interlacing without a hint of the old power games that once defined them.
Remember the first time we met?
Jimin asked, his voice warm. She chuckled, the memory vivid.
You said welcome, Jiyoon. I thought you were just a smooth talker. Turns out you were a chess master.
He grinned.
And you...
He paused, his thumb tracing circles on her knuckles.
You were the queen who refused to be captured.
Across the table, Yoo lifted his cup, the steam rising like a silent toast. Irene, now a regular at the cafe, sat beside him, her eyes sparkling. The four of them shared a quiet camaraderie, the boundaries of past loyalties softened by a shared purpose.
To new beginnings.
Yoo said, raising his mug.
May the red thread never break.
Irene added, her tone playful yet sincere. YN glanced at Jimin, their eyes meeting in a silent affirmation. The red thread, once a symbol of manipulation, of inevitable doom, had become something else entirely, a lifeline, a promise woven from choice, love, and trust.
I never wanted to be family. I wanted to change it, and you were the catalyst.
She smiled, the night outside matching the sheen of the city lights.
And you were the one who saw the thread before I ever even noticed it.
Their hands tightened, a promise renewed. The world outside might still be full of shadows and secrets, but within that cafe's warm glow, love had carved a path. A red thread that tied them together, not as pawn or player, but as partners steering toward a brighter horizon. The rain slowed, a soft patter against the glass, as if the sky itself were whispering a quiet blessing over the unlikely lovers and their friends. And in that moment, YN knew that the greatest victory was not but rescuing a heart, her own, from the darkness and letting it beat freely, side by side with Jimin's. The game was over, but the story had just begun.